I don't know anything about this guy. This guy is called Luke Covers. He's got 2K subscribers on YouTube. He's got memberships. He's got donates. He's got BitChute. He's on Rumble. That's always a good sign. I don't really know anything about this guy, so I was just told that he has a thing about the Barbie movie. So we're gonna take a look and see what we end up with, because who knows?
Holler if you hear me, and welcome to this edition of Luke Covers. What do we have to talk about? Well, there's something very quick I gotta talk about with all of you. Feminism is the scum of the earth, and male feminism is where men go to get away with being everything real men want to punch in the face.
Oh, well, that's a strong start. Women having rights is the scum of the earth. Ooh. I wasn't expecting much, but that was the first 18 seconds. This dude is pissed.
Every single feminist is a brain-dead, self-absorbed, career-obsessed harridan that needs ideology to convince themselves of the importance of their first-world problems / superficial neuroses while disguising their self-hate. Every male feminist is a...
Any woman who wants to be able to open a bank account is career-obsessed. What's a harridan? I need to look up that word. I'm too stupid.
Harridan.
Harridan. A strict, bossy, or belligerent old woman. That's what a harridan means. Now we know. I like learning new words.
Hate.
Noted.
Every male feminist is a self-respect deprived soy-based viper, angry they couldn't attract any women more attractive than Mindy Kaling unless they have money or potential career advancement to give out, so posing as an ally becomes the front for enacting their revenge. Revenge
Oh my god!
on the pretty women that denied them sex in high school, and the careerist mothers who mistreated them as a whipping boy to take out their anger at the ex-husband, even though the ex-husband lost everything in the divorce.
This dude is mad. Sir, Luke, friend, who hurt you? Did you get dumped recently? Were you treated... Did the girls in high school not like you? Why are you so concerned, as an adult? Why would anybody be so concerned about what had happened in high school? Does he, Oh... I don't know what I was expecting, but I feel like I just jumped 2 feet into, Oh, but when, garbage gets, wet at the bottom, and it's, sticky? That's what I feel like I just jumped into. How does he feel about gay men? Does sexual orientation matter? Because he seems to be saying it matters because these are men who were rejected by women in the past that are formulating some kind of revenge. If that's the case, then, does this apply to gay men who think that women should have rights? What about women who aren't interested in men? Do you think this dude has ever talked to a woman?
Dimwits are about as easy to read as the script to Barbie, or Inside the Mind of Margot Robbie, which is really just a ball of conceited grandstanding to deny she owes her career to the acting method found at the Stormy Daniels School of Drama.
Apparently he can read minds! I'm impressed! This guy's got it all figured out! God damn! How is he not attracting the ladies? He's so big-brained! 2 minutes in, we get a Stormy Daniel reference. Yeah.
And you can take that to the bank. Except when shaking
For
it
what?
in a Tarantino movie with...
No. If you're gonna say I gotta take that to the bank, you gotta tell me what I'm gonna get out of that. What's the value in anything that you've said in the first 1 minute? Because all of it is just basically, insults with no justification. You're just stating these as a fact.
Little to no lines and never spouting a single bit of Sarkeesian invective during the promotion of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Almost as if women in Hollywood are enslaved to the actually misogynist men and the casting couch, which makes pimps and prostitutes out of all of them. So her and the usual gang of idiots can pretend Barbie is a blockbuster empowering women instead of vile man-hitting weapons-grade projection from women whose grip on reality has no ability to penetrate the perpetual cycle of mutual hate and blackmail of the entertainment industry. All they want...
Sorry, I'm gonna have to pause you right there. It is a blockbuster. It is a massive success. That, like, by the numbers, that's not in question. It's made over $1 billion. It's one of the biggest movies that Warner Brothers had come out in a very, very long time. Also, Barbie is not a man-hating movie. Barbie is pro-men. It's pro-men need to be treated well and need to be respected. It's also as well as women need to be treated well and be... I like how we saw the same thing with Ben Shapiro, right? And I suspect we're going to see the same thing with Shadversity, and we'll see if I'm right about that on Friday. But these men are so unbelievably enraged. Like, they're so angry at just the idea of a fantasy world that takes takes current society and flips the gender roles. They're so... just the idea is so offensive to them. They all just, like, piss their pants and lose their minds like what we're seeing here. Oh my god.
They can do that all they want, but marketing can only hide your hatred for men and motherhood fueled by self-inflicted indignity coupled with lashing out from knowing that conforming to feminist dogma robbed you of a real life. Enjoy the coin flip this...
What's the dogma? See, this is the problem with this kind of a video. If you're going to say that the Barbie movie is full of feminist dogma, you need to explain what the dogma is, and then point out where it applies to the Barbie movie. Again, this is just essentially a gish gallop. This video, up until this point, is just a logical fallacy. Just because you state something is the case and say so with an air of authority or any kind of, like, divisiveness or... that doesn't make it true. So, tell Elmo.
See if you'll choose obesity or bulimia as the way to punish yourself for unconsciously understanding that feminism is wrong. As wrong about everything as MSNBC. Hashtag Dave Sim was right. No wonder you're so...
Oh no, he's terminally watching Fox News! Oh!
personally invested in seeing a piece of your propagandist bile do well at the box office, with an unhealthy need to lie about its chances to outperform the Super Mario Bros. Movie, all because that movie was a franchise film not indulging in Soviet-level thought control, even when there was a...
There is something special about somebody speaking like this who is... I believe this person is American. I don't know for sure, but he sounds American. Context clues indicates to me that it's likely this person is from America, while completely dismissing the history of porn and the history of prostitution that essentially built America. This also completely dismisses the history of Playboy and what Playboy did. I bet the pages are pasted close. You think he can't even open this book? Is that where we're at? It's... I like the woman in the magazine because she can't talk.
All because that movie was a franchise film not indulging in Soviet-level thought control.
I mean, they're both franchise films, but yeah.
Even when there was a princess character that they could have made into an insufferable girl boss. The hypocrisy from the femshills who hate YouTubers that laugh at woke trash failing is just personified in that. Any one of these twits, these dimwits, who have more tweets than personality traits, that reel when another blue hair revenge fantasy bites it, they bite the dust and the ratings are at the box office, they are just completely nothing but social justice puppets convinced to only live for current thing. The millennial...
What are you talking about? I'm sorry, he's lost me at this point. You're talking about, like, what other box office movies are you referring to? He is, like, ping-ponging back and forth between, like... Basically, it seems like women can't win. Either you're a feminist shill or you're a pick-me girl. Oh my god, it's so much word salad. There's so much word salad. He's been going to the school of Jordan Peterson to try to sound smart with lots of big words that say nothing. Convince tends to only live for current things. Okay, but feminism is an ongoing thing. Like, it's like having a movie that tells a story that involves these overarching themes is one thing. The feminism existed beforehand and will exist afterward. Or they only care about the Barbie movie because it has feminist notes in it. And if that's the case, that makes sense. Why would you expect a feminist to care about a movie the same way that doesn't involve the feminism? Like, that would just be contradictory. That doesn't make... You're setting up a scenario that doesn't make any sense.
Strand of the weepy, whiny professional victims that are nothing without groupthink. Alright? Anytime any one of them rhetorically asks, why are you so invested in this movie or that movie's box office if you don't have any kind of stock in the studio, I always say to them, you first.
Well, no, they've already explained. By being a feminist, according to like your own mindset of what a feminist is, if that's already in your mind and they've already explained that and demonstrated that to you, then you already know their reasons for caring. Right? Their reasons for caring is higher box office numbers equal higher numbers in seats to see the movie, to allow them to be exposed to this kind of ideology or this kind of like presentation of information or this kind of a story. But even if you're going to accuse it of being socialist propaganda, why are you first? That's just being an asshole. You already know the answer. At least you believe you already know the answer. Right? So, even in your made-up scenario, you're the idiot. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you make yourself the moron of your made-up scenario? Do you think he loses arguments that he has in his head in the shower?
Just make sure. These people are so obsessed with seeing themselves in movies, so obsessed with making everything a reflection of the world they live in today, and by we, they mean themselves, and they mean...
Art reflects the world, and the world reflects art. It is a two-way street. And art is supposed to take things and distort it and play with it and change it and push things and pull things and like take something out and add something in. That's what art is about, and it's about interpretation. And art is about the person also interpreting it after the fact. Bro! What he's saying doesn't make any sense if you have any kind of proper understanding of the way art and communicate, not even art, any kind of communication. If you're trying to communicate an idea to someone, you need to cater the way you communicate to the person you want to understand your message. And that's why we use things like analogies, like what he's doing in the video that we're watching. He's using analogies, he's using specific buzzwords and keywords to try to get across an overarching idea, which is basically just coming off as a bunch of unsubstantiated accusations. Right? Like, you're just mad. You're just mad that you got outsmarted by this movie. And this is one of those movies that is just like, if you watch this movie and you feel like this movie insulted you, it probably did. And it did so on purpose. And maybe that's the thing you should analyze.
Those hive-minded losers that think and walk and talk exactly like them, because no wonder they're looking at a movie like Barbie and thinking that is an idea of utopia, because...
Damn those women with their Uggs and Starbucks. I bet you they like the pumpkin spice lattes.
As absolutely positively any opposition or anybody that isn't subservient to them or repeating their views back to them automatically is an evil person because they are just that deranged and self-absorbed. Yeah, that...
No, well, I will take issue with some people who do not hold the same views that I do if those views are actively harmful. So, like, white nationalism. Yeah, no, I take issue with that person not agreeing that shit is wrong because it actively harms people. If you walk around getting feminism wrong, I don't particularly care that much outside of I find it kind of funny. And I'm watching this like just escalate and being like a compounding problem of like you started off on the wrong foot and getting like with the wrong information out the gate and are just like getting it continually wrong, so the amount of wrong that you are is ballooning.
is their warped idea of utopia. No, in between marching and marching and marching and marching, and probably
You don't get to dictate what someone else's view of utopia is. Everyone's is going to be different. People having rights is generally considered utopian because people like to make decisions about their own lives. And if you want to remove that from one group of people, that group of people is not going to view that as a utopia. It's not a distortion. It's their opinion.
shouting a lot of things in either Cerulean or maybe even in Chinese. Telling Hollywood...
You're the one advocating for censorship and calling this a propaganda film. This is the same thing that Ben Shapiro did. He lauded that China would not show this movie. Like, good luck getting your movie sold in China, losers. Ha ha ha. While complaining that the movie existed in America. Implying implicitly that America is doing worse than China in allowing this movie to exist, and that America should adopt communist China policies, so that way this kind of drivel would not be fucking available. Why do all of these Americans want to be China? I don't understand.
Hollywood to shit in its hat on YouTube is actually a potentially lucrative open market. Much more lucrative than typing out Marxist trash for Vice or The Hollywood Reporter, especially since their real aspirations of TV writing or screenwriting careers are in a bit of a pickle at the moment. Because Luke the Duke right here can't help but notice that they are doing...
Oh no, he calls himself a duke. Alright.
all this talk, there's all this gum flapping about Barbie, and it's all going on during an actors and now writers strike.
Yes.
Yes, both of them, where we have proof now that the studios are planning to stretch it out until all the writers are broke and desperate. Not that you could tell really the difference before, because instead of real outrage...
Oh, he's a fucking moron. Alright. The thing with the writer's strike and the actor's strike is whatever was in production that is coming out currently was finished before the strike started. You monkey. You absolute clown. The fact that this movie is good and people are talking about the content of this movie in the context of this movie is irrelevant to the writer's strike, outside of saying that the fact that they were able to produce this movie under such strenuous circumstances as the writers and actors had currently been going through leading up to the strike is stupendous work on their part, and they ought to be proud of themselves.
Going towards this instead of real indignity, real righteous indignation towards what these studios are planning to do, with the exception of Ron Perlman's crazy ass, but that's about it. Then again, he's such a nutcase, who's really going to listen to him? He might as well be standing...
Listen, Ron Perlman's a king. We stand Ron Perlman here. We talked about what he said. It's over on YouTube if you want to go see it. Ron Perlman's amazing, and who would slap the shit out of this person. Quite frankly, this guy's anonymity and the fact that he exists on the internet, he would never have the balls to say this to Ron Perlman's face. He just thinks that he's small enough that Ron Perlman will never see it, never say anything to him, and he'll never run into him in person ever. Basically what I'm saying is this bitch is a coward.
out in the corner with a little sign around his neck talking about doomsday because he saw a promotion where Orange Man said something and a crowd cheered at a campaign rally in Florida. So yeah, stupidity begets stupidity, insanity begets insanity. But we're already in the middle of a talk about feminism, so let's not digress too much from other feminist points of criticism to go on the main point of feminist criticism I'm hurling at this trash that we're having to...
You can tell that he's reading, which means that he had to write all of this down, and I just imagine that he's sitting there with like a fucking thesaurus on his computer just being like, what can I phrase my words with?
Put up with right here and right now. Instead of all of this going on, instead of that outrage, what is the press doing? The press is glorifying an Australian hooker who's the last actress on Earth who has the right to promote feminist ideals. While
that is, you don't understand feminism. You don't understand feminism. Feminism is pro-women being able to do whatever they want to do and utilize their bodies and their bodily autonomy however way they want to use it. There is no reason why someone who works in the porn industry can't be a feminist. That is the ass backwards as fuck, you dumb shit. Also, yeah, the projection. You guys are right.
Jennifer Lawrence, now we know her as this insufferable harpy who is too brain dead to figure out that no, she was not the world's first action star, and also was too brain dead to figure out that you aren't really going to get yourself a big comeback as a lead actress in a movie that's doing nothing more than to promise us, the audience, that we're going to get to see you naked, when we can already just stay home and look up your iCloud leaked photos that were obviously what you were giving to Harvey Weinstein to keep him happy, or David O. Russell happy, in exchange for continuing to advance your career when you weren't available in person to show up at this Chateau Marmont while he plowed you like he's damn Peter North. When
this guy seems to like to think about other dudes fucking women a lot. Women being abused and you taking advantage of women being abused is kind of fucked up. So you want to bang Jennifer Lawrence, but you're mad that you're not going to be able to bang Jennifer Lawrence. And so you like to think about other people taking advantage of and fucking Jennifer Lawrence. And you're going to fap to her leaked photos that she didn't consent for you to have. Because you're an abusive cuck.
in actuality, a little freak like him has a micro crank that probably can barely squirt out a little droplet here or there. So
Stop talking about other dudes' dicks, you fucking weirdo!
About an actress and what they do on the casting couch, I maybe ought to go and revise my statements about how much cum they guzzle or how much they've ingested, because really those kind of borderline impotent men can barely put out there a light drizzle. To them...
Why do you know that?
A Peter North semen storm is just a little.
This guy likes talking about semen and people, other dudes' dicks in considerable detail. I think he's trying to be edgy, but like, what year do you think it is? We all grew up on the internet. We know what 4chan is. Like, you're not impressive.
One of those little bags or little boxes of detergent they give out that you can go
still
and buy at a laundromat when you don't bring your own washing material, your own soap, your own bleach, whatever.
What?
And that's another thing that you can go right out there, right here, right now, and take to the bank. Jennifer Lawrence...
Why are you talking so much about Jennifer? Why am I gonna take somebody else's micropeen to the bank? What the fuck? That was like 2 minutes. Oh my god.
Became a starlet that was sold to us as a talented, beyond her years, down-to-earth girl. While Margot Robbie's breakout performance wasn't as a crusading woman in the workplace or as a misunderstood warrior woman against misogyny, it was playing a gold-digging, shopping-crazed ditz that took another woman's rich husband away, whose most memorable scene of quote-unquote acting was...
They're movies and acting roles, you numpty! Are we getting back into the it's not real that because they're acting, that's not who they are?
Was all about spreading her legs for a powerful man. I'm pretty sure that Mary Wollstonecraft, Dorothy Parker, Mary McCarthy, Gloria Steinem, Andrea Dworkin, or Camille Paglia wouldn't be comparing her to Rosie the Riveter for that. And I don't need a psychology degree to see a little bit about her upbringing and see that...
Stop talking about psychology, says the psychologist in the chat.
That a pretty blonde who grew up as a product of divorced parents and owes a showbiz inroad that then led to stardom around the world entirely to her appearance, easily will let her daddy issues get the best of her, since deep down she's aware her skills as an actress equal Megan Fox in 2005. And...
I think he has a psychological problem with women. He has very shallow ways of, like, he sounds like he's in grade 8. Like, this is the kind of take you would get from somebody who is in junior high, who hasn't spoken to any adult women as, like, on equal footing yet. The only adult woman he's ever spoken to has been, like, a woman in authority, like a teacher, who isn't really interested in his stupid fucking opinion. There's a lot of nepotism in Hollywood. That's not a secret. That's well known. There is no, like, individual that's just made in Hollywood. It's a very well-based, connection-based industry. And that, like, you may or we could have a conversation about whether or not that's problematic and how that does work in some cases and why it's a problem in other cases. That's fine. We can have that conversation. But I thought you were talking about feminism. Why are you talking about, like, roles women have stereotypically played in Hollywood, as if that's not part of the problem that feminism is addressing?
Being aware that all her career is owed to men that wanted to fuck her, and her being more than willing to do it in private, since it wasn't as publicized as old J-Law, but she's got some naked photos out there too, and maybe afterwards it came time towards Scorsese or David Ayer, or to the 2016 people over there, or at Warner Brothers, or even Walter Amada afterwards, for all the proclamations about they're going to make things so much female-led, and all Birds of Prey, which made 12 cents, is going to be some great big advancement for women. I bet you she was doing things that Julie Ashton would look at and go, have some self-respect, woman.
Women having to exist in a patriarchal society and needing to perform, like, do things that they don't want to do is the thing that feminism is addressing.
Don't you know that you're just being a glorified prostitute and that you're doing that because you hate yourself, you hate your daddy for not being around, and you really, really ought to be going and taking your issues out with a psychiatrist,
Maybe you should take your own advice and take your issues with women and their sexuality, which isn't their problem. This is a you problem. This is a thing that you need to deal with, and stop making it women's problems, but you know.
Pretending that you're some great, important performer or star.
He is unironically trying to use women's sexuality to get views and clicks, though, by the way. That's why he's drawing Playboy.
No, you're just a sex worker, and no, sex work isn't real work, despite what idiotic platitudes from BuzzFeed News are trying to tell you, okay?
Sex work isn't real work. Okay, then define it. What is real work?
Jesus. Margot Robbie needs more acting coaches on set 24/7 than Jennifer Lawrence needed directors who will exchange patient performance conjuring in exchange for on-set sex. I'd say don't expect her to work
You don't understand how the industry works. There is an entire on-set sex and filming sex scenes has rules and industry standards about, like, there has to be barriers between people. They have to wear specific, like, safety features, etc., to keep everyone safe. There are rules about this. This guy thinks they're actually just on anytime there's, like, a nude scene or, like, a scene with fucking people having sex. It's just they're just having sex. That's the level we're at here. Oh boy.
With a real filmmaker like Christopher Nolan, but already she was able to go and work some of that casting couch.
Christopher Nolan, a real director, doesn't expect Margot to work. She produces her own films now. She's not a real producer. She's a woman. She's only actually a producer because she had to sleep her way to the top, obviously. Every woman is brain dead, and they're either taking advantage of the system by doing stuff behind their, like, in secret so that nobody knows, or there's some blue-haired screeching lady that hates men. Those are the only two options. There's no false dichotomies here. What are you talking about?
Couch magic again to get herself in a Tarantino film, which he is a director who far better understands what certain actresses are good at than other actresses out there. If Margot Robbie deserves any credit, I'll give her this. When it came to being an actress whose shining moment is as a quote-unquote actress was working with Scorsese, she was smart enough to make her big Hollywood debut with the one good performance directed out of her with Patience by Martin Scorsese. Instead,
Citation needed.
And do that while at the same time getting her started by literally spreading her legs for the right director. Before then, she consolidated Basic Instinct and Casino into one, and covering...
He actually thinks that the only way women get roles is sex scenes in movies that he thinks involve actual sex. What planet is this dude on? Boys going to Jupiter to get more stupider. That's where.
Bring up with an accent and a bunch of feminist dogma. Alright there? Don't expect her to work with a real director like Christopher Nolan anytime soon. I would say that, but he's had Anne Hathaway, Katie Holmes, and Scarlett Johansson in his movies, so I don't put anything past them. But word of mouth at the end of the day always wins out. So seeing Barbie is cinema for man-hating sociopaths and Oppenheimer being a movie for functioning adults is going to do all the success or failure determination for me. And that's not my opinion. I know I'm right.
You knowing you're right is an opinion, though, you dumb fuck. If you say, I have this belief and I know I'm right, it's still your opinion that you're right. I have some thoughts, but I want to look at his actual channel. I want to see what else the fuck is going on here. Oh my god, is that what he looks like? No wonder he likes to pick on pretty women. I can't imagine. It's almost like his face combined with that fucking personality and mouth of his, which I would assume he can't actually get up and out if there's actually a woman in the room. Probably equates to not a great experience with women. That dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about. That was horrid. I would care less. Like, I don't care that much. But I would care less if he, like, actually got the topic correct. Like, the dude was on another planet. He has no idea what the talking points of feminism are, nor does he have any proper understanding of Hollywood or the Harvey Weinstein issues or women. I would love to know how many women he's actually spoken to in his real life. I also want to know what his porn history looks like, goddammit. That's the kind of guy who's got the good shit. You know what I mean? He's got, like, the kinkiest, weirdest fucking shit. Guaranteed. Oh, God. So, for someone who is, like, has such an issue with women, he sure does like talking about other dudes' penises and other men railing women that he's never gonna rail himself. Ooh, that's a lot to unpack. This dude is an absolute clown. Although I am enjoying that he is trying to sound like he's up here when all he's doing is repeating the same tired talking points that are like the bare bones basic bullshit. Like, there's nothing coming out of this dude that's actually, like, unique or profound